Do you have to pick a niche when starting a YouTube channel? Well, the fact of the matter is, you don't have to do anything, right? You can literally do whatever you want when it comes to starting a YouTube channel. However, keep in mind that there are going to be certain things that you do that work better than others, right? So let's just say whatever niche you decide to pick, for example, there are going to be certain topics within that niche that are more trendy, right? That are more of interest to people, right? And if you spend a lot of time talking about those particular things, you're going to see yourself, you're going to see your channel grow a little bit faster, right? Versus if you decide to ignore all that stuff and just talk about whatever you want to talk about. And nobody says, I mean, nothing says that you have to talk about those things that are more trendy or that are more popular, right? You don't have to do that. But just bear in mind that if you do, and you do want to grow quickly, right, it is going to be in your best interest to talk about some of those things, for instance, okay? So it's going to be on you to kind of decide, right? Make that choice whether you want to talk. This is going to be like more like a passion project where you're just talking about the things that you want to talk about that might not necessarily be of interest to others, versus whether you want to, consider more what people want to hear about, right? So those are just things to those are like an example of things to consider, right? When it comes to now, when it comes to like, certain things that are going to work better than others. Now, coming down to the topic of whether or not you need to pick a niche, well, it's just now I'm no YouTube expert. Let me put that out there to begin with, right? What I'm just giving you here is going to be a combination of what is actually known to be I shouldn't say factual. It's going to be more of my opinion. Let's just put it that way, right? My opinion based on what is generally accepted, or the general consensus. Let's just put it that way, okay? So typically, right? Ideally, you would want to have some kind of niche, right? Where you're not necessarily all over the place. And let's just say the reasoning behind that is when you do start um, uh, talking about whatever you're talking about in any given niche, right? You're going to start building, the channel's going to be growing and you're going to be accumulating subscribers, right? Those subscribers, chances are they subscribe for a reason, right? They subscribe for the stuff that you're talking about within that niche. If you get up all of a sudden now and you start talking about something completely unrelated, completely different, okay? All of a sudden, you're going to, I don't want to say like upset a bunch of people, but you're going to start seeing maybe people leaving because that's not the reason why they came to begin with. It's kind of like a bait and switch, right? It's kind of like a bait and switch, right? So whatever it is that you decide to talk about, just know that if that is what you're focused on, aka like your niche starting out, and people start subscribing, understand that that's the reason they're subscribing, because that's what they want to hear about, that's what they want to learn more about, right? That's why they came to you in the first place, okay? So just to give like a crazy example, let's just say you start out talking about let's say finance, stuff related to finance and making money online and all that type of stuff, right? Like I do, for instance, okay? And then all of a sudden I started, coming out here and talking about, I don't know, basket weaving or something, or knitting, right? And I'm pretty convinced that, and let's just say I started doing that for an extended period of time, I'm pretty convinced that I'm going to start losing the core audience that I had, right? The core audience that was built, and I might even struggle to pick up that new audience because if they come to my channel instantly, and they see I'm talking about basket weaving and knitting or whatever the case may be, whatever the other topic is, and then they go look at the rest, because this is what people tend to do when they come to a channel and decide where they want to subscribe. They come and then they start looking at my history and all the different things I was posting about, and then they see all this other stuff, money, making money online related type stuff, finance related type stuff, which has nothing to do with what they want to be learning about, which is basket weaving and or knitting, whatever the case may be. They're gonna probably be a lot less inclined to subscribe because it's kind of confusing, right? Okay, like, is this guy really about what I want to hear about, or is he talking about this other stuff? So there's that argument for niching, right? And then on the flip side too, yes, it's good to niche, to have a niche, but you don't want to micro niche, right? You don't want to be so specific that you pigeonhole yourself into a tiny hole, right? Or tiny box that the moment you start stepping outside of it, all of a sudden you're just you're completely losing people because you're just so specific, right? What I would suggest, let's just say you're kind of conflicted and you don't know exactly what it is that you want to really talk about when starting out. What I would suggest, which is kind of what I've done in a sense, even though I did have a clearer picture of what I wanted my channel to be about. In the early stages, maybe, right? Maybe you don't necessarily want to niche down, like you don't necessarily want to pick a specific niche, right? And you want to talk about all different kinds of stuff, right? The new thing I'm hearing now is like, okay, you, the individual, you are the niche, right? You are your unique person. So everything is from your perspective as as your own unique person. So you are the niche, which I guess entitles you to just talk about whatever in different fields and all that, and people are always going to come because it's you that they're subscribed to, right? They're interested, invested in you. There's an argument for that, right? But my suggestion, if you're kind of conflicted, you don't really know what to talk about when starting out, my suggestion would be to just start testing the waters and on different topics, right? But like try to keep them all within the general zip code, if you know what I mean, right? Like you don't want to be like way all the way out there and different things, because what that does, like when you come in and you talk, you like when you start like touching on different subjects, different fields, that and try to keep them somewhat related, right? What happens is after you've done a few videos, you'll be able to look at everything that you put out and see how the audience is responding, right? You'll see some of your videos are going to do way better than others, right? You're going to see some videos do way better than others, and that will give you an idea of what topics are the ones that people want to hear about, okay? As an example, right? In my case, I'm talking about heading like so basically my whole thing is like my journey to financial independence and all the different things that I'm doing in an effort to achieve financial independence, right? So it's like finance related, but then it's also money, wealth, making money online. So that is pretty broad, right? It gives me a pretty a good latitude, right? Good breadth of stuff that I can talk about, right? Because the whole idea is everything that I'm talking about, even if they are not 100% related, but they're all different, right? They are all related even if they seem like they're not related on the surface, at the end of the day, they are all related in the sense that these are all the different things that I'm doing. Even like, let's say one might be online, or like it might be an offline business, right? Brick and mortar business, or a basket weaving business, or whatever the case may be. Whatever it is, they are all different things that I'm doing in different areas, different niches, I guess you could say, that are geared towards what I'm trying to achieve, which is become financially independent, right? So they're all connected. And one of the, there's the making money online, the affiliate market, making money online, talking about the finance stuff, but then also YouTube, right? One of the things that I'm doing is, this YouTube channel that I started, okay? And in an effort to get to the point where it's monetized. And that in itself is a huge niche by itself, where there are whole channels, mega channels on YouTube that are focused on that by itself, okay? And contrary to, contrary to what I necessarily want to talk about, that's not necessarily my favorite thing to talk about. But when I look at all my videos, those seem to be the ones that perform the best, right? The ones that talk about YouTube channel growth and trying to get monetized and all that type of stuff, right? They're not necessarily my favorite topics, but I've noticed those are the ones that tend to do well on my channel, right? So I'm in this space where I'm kind of conflicted in between, okay, like, yes, I want to grow, I need to grow, right? So do I need to talk more about that, even if that's not necessarily what I want to talk about, right? Versus say maybe the things that I do actually want to talk about that are not necessarily getting as much traction, right? They're not gaining me as much traction. So those so, and here's the thing, like, so if you were in my shoes right now and you're looking to grow, blow up and all that kind of stuff, the logical thing to do would be to double down on talking about YouTube growth, right? YouTube channel growth, gaining subscribers, gaining watch time and all that type of stuff, right? That would be the natural thing to do, right? But like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, you don't have to do anything, right? You can do, it's your channel, even though you want to be thinking about the people that you're serving, right? The people that are watching, right? But at the end of the day, remember, whatever it is that you talk about, your people will find you, right? The stuff that you want to talk about, there are others out there who are interested in it, and they will come, right? Those will be the ones, the growth will be slower, right? But you'll be growing nonetheless, and those are the people, those are your people, so to speak, okay? So, in a nutshell, do you have to pick a niche when starting a YouTube channel? Not necessarily, not really, right? Not really, but is it going to be what's going to get you necessarily the best results? Probably not, but you won't know until you find out, right? You won't know until you find out. So it's just one of those things. Again, and coming in, if you already have a perfect idea, a perfect vision of what you want your channel to be about, what niche you want to go into, perfect, great, go for it, right? Go in there, dominate that space, and become the authority in that niche, right? And there's the argument to go that route as well, So if you have like some expertise in that particular field, but anyway, that's essentially it. I mean, make of it what you will, or at least what. In a nutshell, right? To answer the question, in a nutshell, in my opinion, you don't necessarily have to have an exact specific niche. But what I would say is, whatever you decide to do, try to keep it generally related. All the stuff you talk about, try to find a way to keep it connected and generally related, all right? As opposed to being all over the place and completely, one video you're talking about icebergs, and then another video you're talking about making money online. Maybe that were, I don't know. But anyway, you've heard my 2 cents on it. So, speaking of stuff that I actually enjoy or at least stuff that I'm going to be spending more of my time talking about, especially going into 2025, because that to me is going to be my primary driver of getting to that point of financial independence, right? I'm going to be spending a lot more time talking about building an online business through the selling of digital products, right? That is what I have decided, I've seen is going to be the thing that will get me to where I'm trying to get to. So I'm going to be talking a whole lot more about that. And if you are interested in getting started with making money with selling, with digital products, right, and use that as a way to even monetize your YouTube channel prior to getting monetized with the YouTube AdSense program, check out the links that I have in the description below this video. and they will help you get started. That'll be a good place to get started if that's something that is of interest to you. All right. Thank you ever so much for taking the time to watch, and I will catch you in my next video. Ciao.